former and current Chuck E. Cheese workers, what are some of the worst things to happen to you while working? One time at Chuck E. Cheese, when I was working there, some food fight broke out, and one kid chucked his entire cake straight at Chucky and he cried about how he did not get a cake. The kid's mom went into the bathroom, and she was in there for a good 15 minutes. I went in there to ask what was up, and I saw her having a mental breakdown. Turns out she spent hours making that cake special for him, and it was all ruined in about 30 seconds. Edit. Wow, thank you so much for the upvotes. Most of my posts and comments get 5 upvotes maximum. Now I have almost tied the amount of the original post. Thank you for reading my story and upvoting it. It means a lot. I was the technician at a Chuck E. Cheese in high school. One day I was covering someone, and I had to wear the suit and do the show. On my way back to the room, a little kid runs up to see Chucky and stabbed me in the ankle with a pencil as hard as he could. I rushed into the back room and took off the pants portion of the suit, pulled down my sock, and a bunch of blood poured out. Did not even go home early. Boss just had me stand at the door. Thank you, unnamed Chuck E. Cheese employee who saved naive, desperate for employment me by answering my question about employment with "you don't want to work here." You are a hero. Didn't happen to me, but somebody got stabbed. We actually hired a bouncer on our busiest days because we attracted the trashiest people. There was also a ton of X in the Chuck E. closet. Hey, sir, someone left a whole bunch of brownies in the sky crawl. They weren't brownies. Edit, words. Had a complaint that a kid was dipping toilet paper into a women's toilet then eating it. He was. Same kid beat me mercilessly while I was wearing the rat hat suit while screaming "man in suit." The best was a complaint about the same kid eating from other families' tables. He looked them dead in the eyes while doing it. These were all different days. Oh wow, an AskReddit question I can actually answer. I worked at Chuck E. Cheese for a year in high school. It was the worst job I ever had. The absolute worst day was having to clean hit and vomit out of the sky tubes. 2 separate occasions, several hours apart. I've never been the same since. The funniest thing, though, was the coworkers who had a threesome in the closet where we kept the Chuck E. costume. Guy asked me cover for him during closing and took 2 other coworkers into the closet and banged them. Thing is, there was a camera in that closet. That was the last time I ever saw all 3 of them. Former, anytime a kid threw up in the ball pit was an especially horrible day. There were several instances during the 6 years I had worked there, but these times were quite memorable. There were 2 ways you could do this. One, a large, both sides opened, cardboard box to cordon off the affected area, saying it was a slow day and other kids were at splashing all the balls around. We had very large netting bags so that you could gather all the balls and take them outside and they would be sprayed off. Or 2. If the spew was all up in the ball pit, then all the ducking balls had to be gathered, sprayed off, and the inside liner that held the balls had to be wiped down and cleaned. Only good thing about having to take out all the balls was that you could find some pretty good stuff that happened to be in people's pockets and fell out: money, pocket knives, and even rings. The worst part was wearing that rat suit after this one dude was in it. He took it serious and would get up on the prize tables and get the kids to chant "Chucky, Chucky." I could freaking hear it back in the kitchen over the noise and music. Dude was but naked in the suit. And he sweat a lot. I probably have hepatitis. Best part was taking the leftover pizza dough into the back lot after closing and having a 1v1 death match throwing softball sized dough balls at each other's heads. I worked at a Chuck E. Cheese in high school in a wealthy area, so I got the bright idea to neatly fold and rip off the part of the bill that stated tips are included in the cost. They were in it. I got my coworkers in on it, and eventually we started presenting the bills to each other as parties and saying, if you would like to tip your host, they can only accept cash, to plant the idea in the par and so head. One day we got caught. I got blamed. I was not allowed to host parties anymore. Instead, the GM hired his family and friends and allowed them to abuse my system. It was a gold mine because sometimes I would take home $200 in cash as a 16-year-old. I did not even make that in 2 weekends of hourly pay. Edit. This happened in the state of California, where servers still make minimum wage, not some $2.13 bullshit. I was originally offered around $8.50, but that was retracted, and I was paid $8 because I would receive tips, supposedly. Which is what motivated me to beat the system. Former employee of 9 months. Very old woman peeing on the carpet in the entrance while standing up. Cleaning pee out of the sky tubes after a complaint that it got in a kid's eyes and he cold no at sea. Walking into the bathroom to find an abandoned pair of underwear with poop in it. Took everything I had to not throw up when throwing it away. While in the Chucky suit, being asked by a large black man wearing all blue, "Why you got all that red on, cup?" Asking a mute girl if she wanted to put her candles on her cake and being told she cannot talk by her parents. There were definitely many more less than enjoyable experiences, but these are the ones that stand out to me. Walked in on this 40-year-old man jerking off. Our eyes met, and we kind of just stared at one another. Most awkward 10 seconds of my life. So, to sum this thread up, ball pits are nasty, and you should watch out for hit and vomit in the high tubes. I worked at SEC as my first job. On more than one occasion kids went up to the sky netting. Basically a bird nest made out of rope suspended in the air and would take a hit. Naturally, since it was netting, the head would fall through and onto anyone who happened to be below. After this happened a few times, we decided to move the carousel ride, which had a roof, under the bird nest so at least it would land on the roof and not someone's head. Cleaning puke out of the sky tubes. The smell was horrifying. Not my story, but my dad's. This was decades ago. He worked as the man in the suit, and all his friends knew it. He had this one friend, we can call him Gene, who liked to take things over the top. He was working and suddenly, my dad hears a roar. He turns to see his buddy Gene sprinting at him, full speed, no stop in sight. Boom. My dad is on the ground, head off, and the only thing heard was the screams of young children. My dad got fired that day. Edit. Told my dad about posting here, and he told me that his boss thought it was a planned prank on the company. As much as my dad denied it, he cold no'd keep himself from laughing. My dad was a known prankster anyways, so he just accepted it. This happened 15 years ago or so. I was designated to be the big cheese himself, a glorious honor, haha, and the fact that I was one of the only guys that worked there, which meant I was almost always the chosen one for that hotbed suit. This day a football team was having a party there, 10 or 12-year-olds or something. My manager knew what was going to happen. Point B though, my young naive brain only had innocent thoughts about making the children happy. Then the coach playfully tosses me a football, in my vision at least, so I actually caught it. It happened. A horde of 10-year-olds descended upon me in the cramped area between two long tables. Valiantly as I tried, these little demons proceeded to tackle me onto the ground. I thankfully didn't break anything, and I kept my head from falling off while being knocked around, but I was pissed. As soon as they got off me, I got up and left to go to the back and take off the SEC outfit. Another time, the same manager as the last story made me work off the clock, but I was too young and dumb to document and report it. Edit. A word. Edit 2. A letter. Edit 3. Wow. This comment has single-handedly more than doubled my karma. Former employee, 6 months in high school. A family racked up a $300 bill and tried to pay for it with food stamps. 2 families got into a fight during their kid's birthday party and had to be escorted by the police out. I later found one of their weaves on the table. I got kicked in the crotch while in the Chucky suit. I am a girl and it still hurt. A little girl asked me when the real Chucky was gonna come out because I was too short to be the real Chucky. A mom wanted to show her kid that under the costume it was just a real person. and asked if I would take off Chucky O's head to show her daughter. I did, and the kid got even more freaked out thinking that the mouse had engulfed me. I have repressed a lot of the memories, but this is what I can remember. I remember when I worked at that hit hole. I had to take out the coins out of the machines and refill the tickets and clean. Worst thing that happened was not the hit or vomit in the tubes above that the kids crawl in, but the time a kid apparently had to take a hit but didn't want to go to the bathroom cause he would lose all his progress. So he takes a hit right where he is standing. Guess he was 3 tokens deep, so he committed to the game. Well, at one point he loses and runs out of tokens. Guess what he does next? If you guessed, walk away with the hit on the floor like it wasn't his. You are wrong. He ducking grabs his hit and just smears it all over the machine, like he is frosting a cake. Full on tantrums while trying to talk hit. Then just wipes their hands on the carpet. Glad I heard this from a coworker. Isn't poop like biohazard territory? Not a former employee, but one time I saw 2 families going at it, throwing punches, cursing and spitting, because one of the kids took some tickets from one of the arcade games that didn't belong to him. Cops had to be called, and both dads got arrested. Having to wear that costume, it's probably one of the most degrading things I've ever had to do. Having to clean the bathrooms. Watching children open up the containers with cheese and lick them, and wonder how many times I've used condiments after children have licked them. Catching strep throat several times. Have a group of bored parents test the system of making sure the correct kid leaves with the correct parent. We don't usually check this, because it would be obvious if you're taking a kid cause the kid would be crying. That's usually when I would check, or if the kid didn't look like the parent, have some lady accuse us of spraying Windex in the salad. Manager told us we couldn't take sick days unless we had a doctor's note, which is against the law. Manager would scream and degrade us, teenagers, in front of whoever. Having to close at the end of the night because we would basically be cleaning up after children. Having to deal with hitty parents. Having parents complain about our attitude because we don't want to be around their hitty kids. Having kids constantly running while you're trying to deliver a pizza. Wheelies. Having to clean the sky tubes after a kid hid in them. Having to work with teenagers who are not the nicest group of people. Mothers dropping their children's diapers on the floor instead of the trash can. I've blocked the rest out. You've been visited by the safety doggo. Like this video and subscribe. You've been visited by the safety doggo. Like this video and subscribe. You've been visited by the safety doggo. Like this video and subscribe. You've been visited by the safety doggo. Like this video and subscribe.